You remember growing up and you'd play a game against an imaginary opponent? You might be shooting hoops in the driveway or hitting a tennis ball against a wall. And sure, you might imagine a scenario where you are facing insurmountable odds. And then the big moment comes. Most of us would imagine ourselves hitting that full count home run in the bottom of the ninth to win the World Series or nailing a PK to win the World Cup. But if you are named John Fetterman, well, apparently you'd lose to your imaginary opponent. And yes, Pennsylvania got asked a question this week. Would you pick John Fetterman or someone else? And I'm being serious with the someone else part. Not a challenger, not someone with a name, not a human being with a face or a platform or a campaign account. Just someone else. A vibe, a rumor of a man. That silhouette that you have before you choose your profile picture on a website. And that silhouette, that generic human, someone else, beat John Fetterman. But Josh, you say, it was at least close, right? No, John Fetterman lost to someone else by 18 friggin' points. 58-40. Penn Live and the Bravo Group put out the results of their poll on Wednesday. And look, I've got to give Senator Fetterman credit. He did finish second in their poll. Out of two. And first place doesn't even exist. And look, this gets funnier because people were asked, how sure are you about your vote in this hypothetical? 30% said they would definitely vote for somebody else. And just 12% said that they would vote for John Fetterman. So look, the imaginary guy, the imaginary opponent is beating John Fetterman 2.5-1 among people who have already made up their minds. So yes, someone else has a base. Someone else has true believers. There are Pennsylvanians right now who would presumably knock doors for a person that is merely a hypothetical. And look, I've got questions about this someone else. What's their position on fracking? Have they ever had a bad haircut? Somebody do me a favor, vet this silhouette before we swear them in. And by the way, this comes as no shocker because Fetterman's approval rating is underwater. 47% disapprove. And among Democrats, it's even worse. Quinnipiac found earlier this month that 57% of Democrats want him to leave the party entirely. Which, credit where it's due, this is a rare bipartisan achievement. He has finally united both sides of the country against him. Now look, he's not up for re-election until 2028, and he will not say whether he's running again, but Republicans are actively courting him to switch teams. And he himself has floated that idea out loud because he said that his current party officially becoming, quote, the anti-Israel party is a red line for me. And then about Israel, he added, quote, that's our special ally, you know? Our special ally. Like he's explaining a hometown restaurant to a tourist. You know, it's a whole thing. You got to try it, you know? They've got fantastic bread service and a side of genocide. Such a special ally. And tell me in the comments, even if Fetterman swapped parties, do you think he is anywhere close to electable with any party? Because I think he has firmly planted himself in so many disparate positions that zero people can trust him to follow the will of the people that elected him. And in case you need a refresher as to why your imaginary friend can beat Fetterman in a landslide, remember multiple times during Trump's war on Iran, Fetterman has been the lone Democrat voting against Senate resolutions that try to rein that war in. And more than once, his was the deciding vote. So more than once, he was the very reason your gas has stayed high. And back in April, he joined Republicans to sink a Democratic motion barring Trump from waging war on Cuba in the middle of a humanitarian crisis caused in part by our own sanctions and Trump's oil blockade. And then this week, Netanyahu is in the country and the Israeli Prime Minister's office posts a video of Fetterman and Bibi together.
Senator, it's good to see you again. You've been a stellar patriot, talking about what is good for America, what is good for our alliance.
Mr. Prime Minister, it was a supreme honor of my time here in the Senate to proud and stand with and for the vision and what Israel is, the miracle that Israel is. And how it's been disappointing as a Democratic politician and how our party continues to behave. And we had the culmination of that where that worthless mayor in New York, saying these kinds of ridiculous claims. Now, I think, as far as I know, I was the only Democrat that was proud to push that trash back. And now here we are. It's like, but I'm proud to stand with Israel through everything.
Well, we're doubly proud to have you as our friend, and I think history will record your contribution to truth and justice. And these are not just words that are coming out from my mouth, they're coming out from my heart.
Netanyahu calls him a stellar patriot, says Israel is proud to have him as their friend. And Fetterman responds that standing with Israel was, quote, a supreme honor of my time. And then he says it's been disappointing as a Democratic politician how our party continues to behave. And then he took a shot at Zoran Mamdani and his ridiculous claims about Netanyahu. And look, insulting Mamdani is sure to play well because he's not at all popular, especially when you cozy up to Bibi while doing it. And look, we thought this guy was the real deal. In 2022, we thought he was a Bernie-adjacent, hoodie-wearing, working-class populist. He beat Dr. Oz. And now, 4 years later, someone can have no principles, no morals, no stances, hell, not even a name or a face. And people trust that imaginary person more than John Fetterman. And I've got to ask you guys, help us out. Independent media like us, we survive and thrive on your interactions, likes, comments, shares, all of it. Or if you really support what we're doing, we would love for you guys to become a member, and that way we can keep putting out more content like this.